Yo, what's going on, guys? We're going to be taking a look at a Gold 2 Zac Jungle player. This player has been platinum in previous seasons, just to give you an idea of the general skill level. So the first thing I want to mention is your runes aren't very ideal for this game. You took tenacity runes, which aren't going to do hardly anything versus their team. Yasuo has double displacements, Vi has double displacements, and Mort has a displacement for CC. Tenacity you took in your runes isn't going to help you against any three of these champs or Ezreal because he doesn't have any CC. It's only going to help you against the single target Silas stun. So right off the bat, go for free boots and cosmic insight for the ability haste. If you want to play for early lucidity boot rush on Zac, it works a lot better in D2 plus where you're forced to gank more because the baseline tempo of full clear gank it's not very consistent. It's not like higher than a 52% win rate in past D2 generally because you're not getting out enough pressure. But anything lower than D2, you can easily climb 55 to 65% win rate on Zac, just full clear gank, just like that. I like you getting down early vision. You didn't have to go that deep though. I think it's unnecessary risk. I think you would have been better off just laying it neutral to watch over the Baron pit and this area. Also, you shouldn't generally ward the side you start on because they could have invaded you here and you would have had no clue and lost everything. You usually ward opposite side, then you solo start on Zac a lot of the time. Solo starting is best if the enemy jungler can invade you. That way they don't really know where you're at. And it just makes it harder for them to set up and invade because they don't see who gets the lane first. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the Fog of War. And I'll drop it like this. Nice. So on your first camp, feel free to take notes. You always look at the lanes to see who gets there first and where they came from. So this is weird that their top laner and their bot lane isn't there yet. So you don't really know who leashed and who didn't. I think your bot lane pings are missing. Kelping's missing. Now look. The enemy top and bot get there at the same time, but look at the difference. The enemy bot lane comes from this area. And I'm just looking at the minimap. I don't want to zoom in because that's a spoiler. So the enemy bot lane came from here, which could have been unleashed. The enemy top laner came from a deep bush left side. So you know the enemy top didn't leash. So most likely 90% chance if I started bot side. That's good info. After Wolves, just take Blue Gromp same time. I would get down my Q a little bit earlier. Your Q has been ready to use this whole time and you waited to W and auto twice. Just get them together as soon as possible. Focus down the blue, smite the blue. You're gonna walk over to your Raptors, EN. Looks fine so far. You don't really want to touch your mid or top lane. Kel and Cass are both champions. You can't really help much pre-6 unless they set it up for you. If they're already missing health and the enemy laner's full HP, like you can't help them very much. You just gotta let them weather the storm. So you want to auto attack W, immediately pull it over and queue the Krugs and red buff together. You could have also put your E on cooldown by now. You've been holding on to it. This Zac clear is going to take a long time. I would definitely work on optimizing your clear and training tool. The fastest way to do a Zac clear is to it's not to solo start, but you can still solo start. Fastest way is to start blue, pull it into Gromp, then you can linear clear down through Wolves, take red wrap same time, and do Krugs. I have videos on this, highly recommend checking that out. But your clear should have been done at the latest 345 instead of like a 355 clear. This is just really late. Now with that being said, Zac, if the enemy jungler shows up to fight you on Scuttle, 90% of the jungle cast you can't solo. So you see Vi is back in over there. This is an easy Scuttle. This is a very clear situation of you want to get behind them. Stopping here to E is a huge mistake. Because if you can get behind them, you just walk into them for free. And you can hold on to your E until you're at point blank range. So now you've put yourself in a situation where your teammates are forced to bait the gank rather than you just pinching. Pinching 9 times out of 10 when the enemies are this far pushed is the better option when you only have 2 points in your E. The more points you get in your E, this becomes a better playstyle for Zac, but the less points you have, this is harder and harder to do because it can't reach very far. So at this point, you need to back. On a full clear style jungler like Zac, this is a huge problem with your inefficient clear, is you're finishing at like 355. You need to back no later than the 4-minute mark because your first camp spawns in. We'll go back a little bit. So your first camp you started spawned in at 4:05. So even if you recalled as you finish your last camp, you still would have been late to your first one, to give you some perspective. Now, if you would have solo started, done blue gromp same time, that would give you a little bit more leeway to mess around before you had to back. But as is right now, the clear's just super inefficient. Start blue into gromp ideally, then wolves. You should be at a level where you should be able to pull blue to gromp pretty comfortably. You should just be resetting so you can get more levels. Right now you're leeching XP, not giving your team any value, and you're putting yourself really, really far behind. Good job running away. Nice Q slow, but you need to back at this point. You can't help your team. Your E's on cooldown. There's nothing you can do. And by the time you hit base, you already have 3 camps that are up. We should essentially, instead of bin bot, we should be finishing Raptors right now. And we'd be level 5 and ganks would be a lot easier. On Zac, and on full clear junglers in general, you never want to do this unless there's a really good reason to. You always want to do a full clear end to end. You don't start in the middle, then work an end and go end to end. It costs you like 5 to 8 seconds in terms of walking, because you're having to walk past it and then back over it. You would have wanted to leave base straight into gromp, jumped over the wall, instead of doing wolves then gromp, because we should have just done gromp, wolves, wraps here, and then ganked bot lane. Because once again, ganking top for a Kel is pretty bad. Ganking mid lane for a Cass is pretty bad in the early game. We shouldn't be invading here unless we see where Vi is. I don't believe we saw her on the minimap. On Zac, like I said, you can't really solo any enemy jungler until you have a full item or until you're level 6. So this invade's ill-advised. Very ill-advised. You can't gank Mordekaiser once again with a weak laner. That's like ganking AZ when you have a TF, just doesn't work. Plus Mordekaiser could R one of you, and then he's fighting just 1 versus 1. So we really shouldn't even be over here. You need to focus on your easiest lane to gank. It's not about ganking for the worst player or the weakest lanes on your team. It's about guaranteeing the strongest lanes winning. That is the key to carrying on jungle. Ideally, every gank needs to be a success, and for that to be possible, you have to be ganking the right lane. And it would basically just be this Jinx and Kench. Until Cass is 6. Now that Cass is 6, you can go mid as much as you want. This would be a really easy gank. You should be hitting level 6 on Zac no later than like 7:30. It's very consistent to do if you just full clear, gank, full clear, gank. It doesn't matter which side you full clear to, but as long as you gank at the end of it, then restart the pattern. You should be hitting level 6 no later than 7:30. We're only level 5 halfway to level 6, 8 minutes in, which is really unfortunate because Zac's level 6 is ridiculously strong, especially for ganking bot, because it's an AoE CC ability. I like the sweeper move. You're finally coming in from the side angle. You have 3 points in your E, so you can probably make this work. I wouldn't necessarily want to see you use this on Ezreal unless you knew his E was on cooldown. I would much rather see you use this on Sylas, so I think you could have waited a second here. But we'll see. You miss. Now what you need to do is Q a minion. This one or this one, and then hit him. It's much easier to Q a minion than auto a champion than it is to land your Q, which is a skill shot on a champion, than auto a minion. Plus, whenever you land your Q on something, your next auto attack has basically Thresh auto range. So this would be an easy Q onto minion, then auto him. But instead, you go in for the skill shot. Obviously, he has a dash, so he's going to dodge it. You just need a full disengage at this point. Vi has level advantage because she ran a better jungle route. She has way more CS than you. And you ran a jungle route that was... okay, I don't want to linger on that too much, but yeah. So now you're in a tough spot. Vi 6. I assume you guys all die here, or at least one of you. Vi held on to her R for way too long. Way too long. I think Vi should have taken like 2 steps this way and then R Jinx. Her CC would have hit Kench on the way to Jinx, and then she would have CC Jinx as well. Like, this was just an easy R on a Jinx. Instead, she waits, and then she has to R just to get to him and only gets single target knock up. She was being really greedy with her R, just trying not to use it at all. You go back in. You go in for the long range Q, because you kind of have to at this point. That's solid. I'd block for the Jinx since you have passive. Nice. You're playing around your bot lane win condition. Very cool. Now I don't know what you're doing. You need to reset. What you should do is help shove the wave so Jinx can back and spend all of the gold she just got. Forcing her to stay here when she's sitting on a bunch of gold is a mistake. And you also need to back so you can full clear. All your camps are up, so you're missing out on a lot of golden XP right now. Definitely don't want to stay. I don't know how you guys killed Ezreal. He must have wasted his E. He just does an E. I would... Granted, this is around gold 2, but I would avoid trying to do plays that completely rely on the enemy's misplaying. I would try to focus on plays that'll work regardless of how the enemies play it. Because if Ezreal just had reasonable reaction time, he should have easily been able to dodge your E. Zac's E is a very slow animation. And you didn't see him use his E, so you had no reason to think it was on cooldown. And it wasn't by the time you used your E. So dying here, definitely not worth. If all of your camps were on cooldown, if you trade 1 for 1, it is what it is. If all your camps are up and ready and you die, trading 1 for 1, then it's like really, really bad because you could be farming right now. Definitely over ganking. So you going for your full clear. I would have liked to seen you in this case actually cut in the middle, done red into Krugs, and then ganked bot lane because you're just focusing on your bot. You want to get there the same time they do. These are taking a while. So at this point, you wouldn't want to go to your red because now you're going to be late. Whenever you're ganking for a lane, and they're coming back from base, the most ideal time to gank is like right as they're getting there because the enemies don't react. Then they're kind of settling in, like coming into a new house or a hotel room. They're not on their toes. They're just walking in, and both sides kind of stare at each other. You hop in and they're surprised. So I would try to look for that when your teammates are coming back from base, especially if it's a lane that's been working for your ganks, to try to time you and them pincering at the same moment, going boom, boom at the same time. Good sweeper usage. Take wolves, take blue and gromp at the same time. And also feel free to look around while you're farming, especially in between camps when you don't even have to press buttons. You need to scan people's HP and mana. This is a bad gank, would not touch that. Mordekaiser has a huge HP advantage and kills a useless champion until the late game. I definitely wouldn't do this. That can't solo anybody until he's got at least an item. Vi gets a little bit greedy. You land a nice E into Q combo. I'm happy that turned out. Still would have liked to avoid it. Situations like that, but nice job. Easy Herald. I would not take it top. Herald scrapes 2 plates and a sliver. Look around the map for 2 plates and a sliver. Boom, 2 plates. So Herald would one-shot this turret. You'd get double plates and bonus first turret gold. Would definitely take this bad boy mid. Let Kale AFK farm top lane. Let her be. All right, you finally come mid. Hover your cursor over them and where you think they're going to go. So here's the thing about Yasuo. His only mobility relies dashing mainly through minions. So when you E here, he's most likely going to dash forward. So you might have to favor your E slightly more towards the minions. Your minions. So you go in. He doesn't really react to it. You land the knock-up off your Q. Did you use your blue smite there? If you have blue smite on Zac, always use it in midair. That way they're slowed in. It's harder for them to dodge your E, but you actually didn't have it up. Once again, I would like to see you Q the minions more than auto the enemy champion. In this case, you might not have been able to catch up to him with your auto since he was not blue smited though. So now you blue smite him. Cass is way too low on health. Big reason why I didn't like this gank. I don't think you scanned for your teammates' HP before you went in. It's easy to fall into the mindset as a jungler is more ganks equals good. However, it's only good if the gank's successful. For every gank that is failed, you're putting yourself behind, and in a way you're putting your teammate behind because you're stealing their XP. So you're putting yourself behind because you're not getting as much CS, you're missing camps, and your teammate's losing XP. On top of that, you're making it harder for your other laners because the enemies are seeing you on the minimap, and then they can play more aggressive. So just try to avoid a gank unless you're 95% sure it's going to be a kill. Cass is way too low. I don't like this situation at all. Your R is on cooldown too. It feels very, very forced to me. The thing is, even if you guys did end up getting this kill on Yasuo, it took so long, this whole situation, that if you would have skipped the gank to begin with and took 3 camps, it would have been essentially the same result in terms of golden XP. Also, you should have just laid your turret, laid your herald and gotten first turret. At the 14-minute mark, turret plates fall off. So I don't even know if you're going to get access to this bonus turret plate gold anymore. Really should have just taken turret. There we go. You lay it, you get the turret. Take blue Gromp same time. Should also get into that habit of trying to take red and raptor same time. That'll speed up your clear as well. Once again, watch some Zac Jungle optimization videos. In terms of initial clear route, that is. Did Mord, like, did he not R there? I'm not crazy about the gank unless you know Mord's R's on cooldown, because that Mord should just ult you right now and basically kill you. He's holding on to it. And then he R's basically towards the end. He's got a lot of self-healing. You're probably not going to be able to pick up that kill. In terms of ability usage, I don't think you played this fight bad. But let's see. I'm going to watch it one more time. I need to slow it down. So you don't have blue smite. You E from really far away. Once again, you can come up from behind if you don't feel like your E is going to be able to land. You land the Q, or you don't. You needed to. You needed to land the Q, then auto the minion. You got greedy and then just hit him with the slow. So you missed out on a lot of extra CC. I would just chalk this gank up to forcing it, not going the smart way around, and you're forcing a gank on a lane you know is a weak early game lane champion. So just chalk it up to those two things. Just keep focusing around your bot lane. That would have made this game a lot easier. You're still looking to force stuff. I'm not too crazy about it because your top lane isn't here and she doesn't have TP. This fight could go very poorly. You just need to farm. Take red wrap same time, clear top, then gank. Full clear, then gank will easily get you to at least D4 on Zac. Oh man, that fight's rough. I don't want to be the a commentator's curse or anything, but at this point the game's over. I don't think you guys can win. You're so far behind in golden XP. You're like 26 CS down on Vi, which is literally 6 monster camps. You're like 6 monster camps down. Wait, that's okay, so it's 5. You're like 5 monster camps down. No, that is 6 because it's 4 per. Yeah, so you're literally 6 monster camps down on the Vi, and Yasuo is getting pretty fed. They don't have an easy target for cast to kill because none of them are true squishies. They can all optimize with HP. The only way you guys win this is if you can get Kel to triple item and peel for her. I would say that you learning Fiddlesticks might help out your mentality on Zac a bit, because Fiddlesticks has a very similar playstyle as Zac. Heavy clearing into ganks, heavy clearing into ganks. We're just ganking so much. To only have 70 CS on a heavy clear champion like Zac 17-minute mark, we should have at least 100 or 120 by now. And that may seem like, oh, but then I'll have less ganks. You may do less ganks, but they'll be higher quality and they'll have a much higher success rate to where you'll probably even have more KP than you have now, because you'll be more fed, higher level, higher damage output, longer E range, etc. Once again, you need to try to play around your bot lane carry at this point. You can't solo anyone with Zac. Yeah, that was a good R. Your R is an Alistar headbutt, so you basically just headbutted her into your teammate there. That was really solid. Nice job. I'm going to speed this up a bit. Silas has the Kel R. I would have just walked up into him there. Got closer. This is a bit of a bad fight. Mord's already full stacked on Conk and passive. Yeah, you guys need to play the fights a little bit slower when you're behind. You need to really understand where the enemies are at before you force it, or fight them when they're doing an objective. Herald's a good choice. The enemy's win con is starting to look like it's Dragon Soul because Kel's starting to get a little bit of scaling in, even though she's down a bunch of CS. Let's see the thought process for this. Once again, we are behind as a team, so I'm a little surprised we're going to force a fight here. Looks like it's a looks like it's going to be a 3v3 if Ezreal rotates. Jinx, so immediately you should think to help Jinx and not Kench. Kench is going to die. He's down 5 levels. So this is E immediately onto the Vi, or Q her, then E her, then finish your Q up against the Raptor. So this should be a point blank E into a Q while she's knocked up, knock her against the Raptors, then R. It's a triple knock up. So you should have used your Q. The Q's a low enough cooldown where you can use it twice in a fight if you get it down early enough. So that should have just been a Q auto Raptor or Q Raptor auto the Vi. You need to get out though. You can't save the Kench. But apparently Kel can. Just gotta stay alive and not die until Jinx and... Ooh, not worth it. So let me tell you why this isn't worth it. Your guys' win condition is the Jinx and Kel scaling. If they get enough items, you guys kind of win by default because the Sylas Ezreal aren't going to scale as well, and Yas is going to have trouble getting into range, and Kench can swallow whoever Vi are. So your guys' comp is better. It's just they're way more fed right now. So if you go in, even if you get this dragon, your teammates aren't close enough to back you up. Even if you get this, it does nothing. It's only one dragon. You'll die. They get a guaranteed Baron off of it. That's an extra 300 gold for all of them, plus a Baron buff. It's just not worth. So now something you can try is launching your E over the wall like this, across long ways, and smiting it in midair. I like that option better because the risk is much, much lower. And you can still potentially steal the dragon. This is just not worth it. They're going to kill you, and then they might kill a teammate who's trying to help you. Oh, yeah, it's just... Wait, did you get out? Wait, you actually got out. I don't understand that. So you knock him up, you flash. You somehow get away. Cass gets a kill. Jinx is launching in rockets over the wall. Wow. You know, that fight actually turned out really well. I'm still going to stick to what I was saying. I really don't like that fight since your teammates weren't there. I'm shocked that turned out well. Because you're all the way in when no one's here. You're in Dragon Pit when Jinx is over here. So, okay, that was a bug. But you're in Dragon Pit when your teammates are all the way back here. I think the reason why it went bad for them is... Instead of focusing you down, for some reason, Yasuo's on this side of the wall. All they need to do is focus you and kill Kel. It's like they kill the Kel. Vi's over here for some reason. Okay, yeah. I'm going to stick to what I said. You went in by yourself. Best case scenario, you still dragon and die. Vi just randomly trolls and goes into fight. Like by herself while her teammates are killing Kel. Guaranteed kill on Kel. Should have been guaranteed and killed on you. And then they're fighting from 5 against 3. So I'm going to stick to what I said. Even though it turned out this way, I wouldn't recommend playing with that mindset of going in by yourself hoping to get a steal. Because the majority of the time it won't turn out with your team winning the fight. That's the enemy's troll. Jinx is pretty big now. All you have to do is be patient with your engages and make sure she can follow up, and you guys should win. We'll go back to following you. Just AFK farm. Kel shouldn't be over there doing that. That's not good. I would use your Q more. You're not using your Q enough. I would have tried to save my R until I knew he was going to try to jump over the wall so you could cancel his dash. You could have queued him in the meantime. It would have been a slow, and then your next auto attack would have been a slow. But now we don't have any CC to cancel his dash. Nice E. If you can, always try to queue the target who you have knocked up off your E. That way they can't dodge it. Looks good. Looks really, really good. I think you guys, you shouldn't Baron because you don't have Smite. If you had Smite, then it would be a better option. Kench wasted his R there, in my opinion. If Mord's going to come out, and Mord should just R Kench here. I don't understand this Mordekaiser. He saves his R for so long. It looks like he R'd you. He's going to get the kill. Eh, not too bad. Jinx gets a little greedy, overstays. I mean, there's not much you could have done differently this fight. You got Mord R'd. At this point, though, your teammates should have slowed it down a little bit. Jinx doesn't have any life still to really self-sustain. And she's stepping up really far with low health when Kench has no R. So I would have tried to ping your teammates off. Other than that, it is what it is. Going in for the full clear. Probably backup kill right now. He's getting chased. If Vi went for that, she would have gotten them both kill. Your E's ready to use. Your teammates are still going in. Oh man, this is a really rough fight. Just make sure you peel for the Jinx. So here, you just knocked up Ezreal. Q him, then auto Mord. You don't need to R though. Like the R, you don't need to do it yet. Take the free Q while they're knocked up off of your E. And on your Q there, when you finally did use it, you needed to wait a second. So there's several of them here. You need to keep stepping over to the right to body block Silas chain stun and the it's a skill shot, and you need to block the Vi Q skill shot. So what you're gonna do is probably Q the Mord or Q the Silas, and then bang two of the champions together. What ends up happening is you do Q, you hit the Silas, but you got greedy and you immediately autoed him with the Q instead of taking a half a second to step over to Vi. If you would have taken the half a second to step over to Vi, then autoed her, you probably would have kept Jinx alive. You would have knocked them together. Then you would have gotten a double E knockup off of it. So just a little bit of attention to detail. Focus on knocking up champions together with your Q. And ideally using it once you have them knocked up with your E so they can't dodge it at all. This game's starting to wrap up. You guys should win so easy with the Jinx Kayle late game. Now that this game is dragged on, it's just the team is not fighting together very well. When your teammates do stuff like this, you have to really try to follow them, as painful as it is, because you guys are going to start winning fights for free. We shouldn't be over here right now. We should be over here. They take 10 years to kill Yasuo. They don't even kill him. Jinx is going to get Mord R'd and killed. If you were here, I think you guys honestly would have won this. You would have killed Yasuo, pushed Mord off with your R. Obviously, your teammates shouldn't be forcing a fight when you're not there, but when you see that they're doing it, when you see what's happening, you got to just leave the camp, even if you've started it, because this is what ends up happening. Is it throws the game, even though your teammates were the ones to initiate the throw. And since your teammates technically had a pick, if you were there, that would have been very, very good for your team. Now you just have to wait for your teammates to spawn. The enemies get free objectives off of this. And you just pill. Don't do any crazy engage. You have to make sure Jinx is there to auto. Alright, so if the enemies are shoved up underneath the turret, whether it's lane phase or team fights, you want to try to find a side angle. For example, wolf camp, or this bush, or over here out of vision. But you don't want to E them from the front. It gives them more time to react and they'll expect it. So this spot right here is all right. You can actually hide behind these pillars, but you need to step a little bit more to the left. But yeah, this is an okay spot. I prefer this spot more, but not too far to the right, because then minions will start to see you. They have the Kel R now. It's going to make things tricky. Wait for the Yasuo wind wall to end here. Very obvious. And then Jinx can shred their team. Yep. Channel the E. Yep. Go in, go in, go in. Now that you've missed your E, you have two options. Q this minion, because obviously minions aren't going to juke you, and then auto Mord R him into your turret. Or you can try to Q Mord, slam him and Yasuo together, and then R. Either one's fine. Instead, once again, you didn't use your Q, you didn't use your blue smite, and you go in for a random R that isn't on any of them. That is unfortunate. You end up hitting the Mordekaiser with it, but your teammates aren't here. Kench randomly swallows the Jinx even when there's no one on Jinx. You go back in. Jinx is doing her best to put out damage. And the fight's actually working. As sloppy as it was played, you guys are hard winning because you got the better comp. Jinx is taking some big damage. Don't even know what's hitting her. You need to just get in there and block for her. As a tank, when the enemy team has heavy skill shots, like at this point, you guys have a couple of options. Block for Jinx, or you all just reset, because you've already killed more of them than they've killed of you. So here I would have just E'd blocked the Ezreal. You want to save it for the Mord, you realize it's too late, you get killed. That's probably GG's. Alright, so there's a couple of main things. The biggest things is your clear's taking way too long. You need to be finishing it at 345 at the latest, but you can get it down to 340 or even like 335, 338 if you're doing it properly. So I would definitely look to optimize your clear, starting blue, doing Gromp, Wolves, red wrap same time, then Krugs. Then you can push out, look for gank, reset, full clear, gank, reset, full clear, gank, reset, full clear, gank, reset. You get the picture. That is the main thing. That would, by default, get you to platinum if you just start doing that, because you're falling super far behind in CS. And so gold and XP, which is huge for Zac to have XP for his extra E range and for his abusive R. The second thing you need to do is play around your easiest gank, not your hardest gank. So that was obviously the Jinx Kench this game, and not the pre-level 6 Cass and the pre-level 6 Kale. In terms of team fighting or fighting in general, you need to use your Q generally before your R, and you're gonna Q once you have them knocked up with your E, because your E makes your Q free to land, and then you want to try to bang them against a champion. If you're in a gank and you have the option of queuing the champion or the minion because they're close together, queue the minion, then auto the champion because that's free. Other than that, it was pretty solid. Nice job and good luck on the climb.